Hello, YouTube. Hello, this is Sheila. I have a wonderful recipe for you today, guys. We're going to get right into the video. I'm going to cut the oven on 375 because we're going to need the oven for this recipe. Guys, we are going to make us a casserole today. You can cook this casserole two different ways. You can cook it on top of the stove, or you're gonna bake it. Or you could cook it on top of the stove, mix it all together, and then bake it in the oven for about 25 minutes. So we're gonna get right into this video. In this pot here, guys, I have some noodles. Now you can use whatever macaroni product that you want to use for this recipe. This is my favorite noodles, so I just use these. Okay, so let's get into. We are going to season our noodles first. Okay, we're going to put some seasoning in these noodles. And in this container here, I got a little salt, pinch or two of salt, little accent, a little seasoned salt. And we're gonna mix it all together. And I have some thyme and some parsley in that recipe. Okay, guys? So once you mix your season up, I always like to mix the season up first because I want that season to stick to my noodles, okay? Now we are going to add a little pinch or two of black pepper into our recipe. And we're gonna mix well. Then we are going to add what they call mushroom soup. And I am going to mix that into the recipe also. Got us some mushroom soup here, right out of the can. And I have a little water here that I poured into the can. Okay, I'll mix my water into the can to get all that cream of mushroom soup out of there, guys, for that flavor. So we are going to mix our soup up, cream of mushroom soup. I'm going to mix well. So over here in this bowl here, I have some tuna. And this is 2 cans of tuna, drained. I drained it. I'm going to add into our recipe. Now guys, with this recipe, you do not have to use tuna. You can use chicken breast out of the can. That's always a good plus too. I'm going to bring this over so you can see it. So we are going to mix this up. And then after we mix well, we are going to put our noodles, our tuna, and our cream of chicken mushroom soup. We're going to put our recipe over here into this nice casserole bowl. Guys, this bowl is about 20 years old. And I tell you, it's wonderful. Now, if you decide not to bake your recipe, you can take this recipe and you can cook it over the stove for about 10 minutes and let everything mix well together. And then you can just add a little cheese on top and serve to your family. So what I am going to do, I'm going to take all my little juices and I'm going to pour it over my noodles. And we're going to get this ready to go into the oven. So you have your noodles, your tuna, and all your seasons. And we are going to add some cheese on top. And then we are going to add this recipe into the oven, guys. I'm going to add a little pepper on top of this recipe. We're going to add a little pepper. Then we are going to add some cheese on top. Now, I have white cheddar cheese that I am adding on top of my recipe. So we're going to add some white cheddar cheese on top. You want to make sure you cover your casserole really good. Get you a good grade of cheese, guys, for this recipe. But any cheese work, whatever your flavor is. Everybody got different flavor, guys. This cheese is one of the Cracker Barrel cheese. So this is what I am using for this recipe. And then we are going to just grate up a little sharp cheddar cheese, and we're going to add that on top. Now keep in mind, guys, this is a recipe that you cooked over the stove, so you can't cook this recipe over the stove and just serve it right to your family. But I am going to put this in the oven, and I'm going to let it bake for about 20-25 minutes. Also, with this recipe, guys, you can add some sweet peas to this recipe and mix well. And you also can put it into the oven like that. With maybe a half a cup of sweet pea, add to your recipe, guys. But this is going into the oven, and we are going to just let this bake for about 25 minutes. Now I have a little bit more of my juices that I wanted. I didn't want quite as much of the cream of chicken soup. I should have added some peas to this recipe also, but I just don't have the flavor for it today. So guys, I just want you to know with this casserole, you can add your sweet peas, and you don't have to add water to the soup. I did. I added a can of water, actually. You don't have to do that, guys. But sometimes this recipe will dry out, so I try to keep it as moist as possible. You don't want to serve the recipe to your family dried out, guys. So that's why I left a little juices in there to give it a little flavor. Now also, if you don't want to add sweet peas and you don't want to add cheese, you can also just take this recipe, guys, and just bake it in the oven. So I have all of my cheeses that I grated up, and I'm going to put this recipe in the oven for about 20-25 minutes, and I'll see you on the next video to see how it came out. See you guys.